And now we forgot the whole,
And now we
where
forgot-
were we, Murray?
I don't know, that's the problem.
Where's my water?
Can't
We were
have
talking
a cup
about Jim as the
of-
focal
Can't have
point.
a cup in your hand.
I won't.
You have a bottle of whiskey, but not a cup.
Wouldn't you think Jim knew he was a little more special with all those words, but he also was insecure because he, kind of didn't know how to form the music, so he relied on us. So maybe that's why
Well, he
it
wanted
was so
it to
communal.
He wanted it to be a band. He didn't want it to
Yeah.
be Jim Morrison.
What are you doing? One more.
I want a drink so I don't drool and
You can't
spit.
do that in the middle of discussion.
I asked him to.
Doesn't matter, he has to ask me. Are you out of your mind, Elliot?
Elliot.
May I ruin the entire?
What's wrong with you?
He asked me to get him water.
Elliot,
I apologize.
get the fuck out of here, will you?
Hey, you call Bernie a blowhard? Jesus,
Who's burning?
Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah. Do some common sense, will you?
Hey, you know what? There'll be a better moment. Okay.
There will be a better moment. I forgot where we were at.
I was saying how Jim thought he was special, but he knew he needed us, so it was more communal. And then you said something.
Do I have to repeat what I said?
No, I'm trying to help Murray catch up to where he was.
Oh, yeah. I forget what I said.
Was he insecure about the music part of it, really?
Well, he was, we were all beginners as far as rock and roll goes, So, yeah, he needed us more than we needed him to be a band. And he knew we had something special musically, that would take it to the next level. So, he really honestly wanted it to be a group effort. And, he knew people were going to zero in on him, but he tried to avoid that as much as possible.
Well, he wasn't able to avoid it.
No.
He grew a beard. That was an avoidance.
He grew a beard at the Isle of Wight.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. We're talking about the Isle of
Oh,
Wight.
that's why we're doing this.
So, that was during Miami, right? And he was kind of trying to blend in a little more and not be the glamorous lead singer, right?
Right.
You think that was what the reason was?
Well, we just said so, didn't we?
Yeah, he was, I think, for the first couple of albums, it was like Jim Morrison, the rock star kind of deal. And I think he got tired of that, because he wanted people to listen to the music. He didn't want people just to be obsessed with an image. Jim Morrison, the Mick Jagger type guy.
But when he wrote "I'm the Lizard King, I can do anything," what did he mean by that? I'm curious what you think. I sort of thought that was when he started to buy his own myth and he was drinking too much, but I don't know. I'm going to direct now.
That's a good question. When did he write those words?
Well, that's true. Way back.
He might have wrote that in high school, for all we
There
know.
you go. There you go. You got out of that one.
Yeah,
What led him to become an alcoholic, do you think?
well, I think he was kind of an alcoholic in college,
Yeah.
in high school even. He drank way too much, and then luckily he discovered psychedelics, which was, the liquor just makes you stupid, but psychedelics had a good, resonated well with him, and I think made him much more creative. And that's when he was at his best, when he was taking tons of LSD.
really.
but then you take too much LSD and then you get too jangly and then you have to drink to come down, and so that's what happened. It's actually excesses. Excess of this leads to an excess of that, and so the moral is you can do anything you want, but in moderation. But Jim didn't have that.
I felt, as I told him earlier, that Jim's thing was he had to suffer in order to create, and intensely suffer in order to create, and he needed that sense of creation in order to exist, I think, in order to continue to.
I think he needed this sense of creation, but do you think he had to suffer to create?
Kinda... He did have kind of an odd a need to put himself through weird stuff, you know. Like, I remember one time he got syphilis, and
And now we're
he
getting...
got a case of syphilis, and he said, "You know what? I've heard that syphilis makes you crazy, so I'm not going to go to the doctor. I'm just going to see what happens, you know,
Right.
see what, you know, maybe it'll be a different, you know, high." But he couldn't, after about a week and a half, he couldn't take it anymore. Had to go to get the penicillin. There's too much green stuff coming out.
Ugh.
Who was it? Who was the girl?
That's a good question. Never found out. I wouldn't tell you if I did.
He seemed to like women, that's for sure.
Yeah, that he did. That he did.
Yeah, he said that old generic line to me, can't live with him, can't live without.
But they liked him, obviously. You think it was because he was the lead singer in a rock group, or, well, he was good looking.
Yeah, I
He had a
think.
giant cock. No. Cut.
Yeah, I think they would have liked him whether he was in a rock band or not, you know. In fact, in school and at UCLA, he would kind of move in with one gal to the next,
Yeah.
you know, because he kind of quit school there, and after he graduated, and he was still hanging around the UCLA school area, and you know, his parents wouldn't send him any money, I guess, because he didn't want to. I don't know what the reason was, but maybe he just
graduated.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't want to he didn't want to be connected with his parents, so he just kind of disappeared into the ether of Venice.
And you know, when he was drinking beer in college and high school, he was kind of overweight, and not a lot, but he got into psychedelics and got thin and started looking like a rock star, that's for sure. But he did say in his first bio that his parents were deceased, which they were not. I'm going to cut the umbilical cord real good.
Yeah. Is that why you think he felt that strongly?
The Vietnam War was coming on strong. His dad was an admiral commanding battleships in the Gulf of Tonkin. He wanted to cut it off.
Did the father, what happened, did the father ever come to both of you and talk to you about his death?
Not me. Did he talk to you about it?
Not about his death. He certainly came to the trial, and I thought that was pretty sweet because, you know, Jim having said they were deceased, here he was trying to support what he thought was his son's vision, so. But I think we have not learned the lessons of Vietnam. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in Afghanistan and Iraq and all the rest of this crap. It's hard for America to not win. And that was a mistake. And let's admit it and be careful in the future.
But your music and his lyrics weren't about that.
Not directly. The Unknown Soldier was, he didn't name Vietnam, but it's
He didn't?
anti-war.
Oh, it's good enough. That's incredible. I had no idea he wrote that, yeah. For some reason, I thought it was Buffy St. Marie. But she wrote something like that, The Universal Soldier.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, no, not a joke. But listen, I think it's easier if I deal with one at a time, so I think we're okay now.
He's kicking me out.
Good, good.
It's been a real pleasure.
No, it has been.
No, it